I think I should be live now. I think I'm live. Unfortunately, I've had to reset everything to get it running again. So it may be. Fantastic. What a relief. So if you can, oh, Renee says she can see in here. Thank you so much. I've had such a nightmare getting this together today. I can't tell you. I had the bright idea. I think it's worked out, but I had the bright idea that it's complicated to demonstrate the video stuff because obviously my laptop is tied up streaming whilst I'm streaming. So I can't use it to demonstrate different types of streaming because I'm already streaming on it. So I had the bright idea today. Previously, last week, I was just going to describe a bunch of stuff and I had a couple of screenshots. So I had the bright idea today that what I can do is pre-record a load of video segments to show you different ways of doing things and then bring them into the stream. And I think maybe I just gave it too much to do at once. But I think we do seem to be there now, and I think we're okay. I should be able to... You should be able to see it at 720p. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it looks like you can all see me. So I'm really sorry about that. We are finally up and running, and it looks like everything's all right. Who's here? Renee is here. Hello, Renee. And Anna is here. Nice to see you. Marilyn, good to see you. Lots of people have come. Kay is here. Nice to see you, Kay. And Heather. Nice to see you, Heather. And Lucy. Judy is here too. Nice to see you, Judy. Yes, I will. I am going to be going through some different options for kit that you can use today. Alison, nice to see you too. It's good that you're here. I'm very sorry it took me so long to get set up and started today. It's been an absolute nightmare, but as long as we're all running, Charity, I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. As long as we're all running and everyone can see and hear me, then we'll get started. So, welcome to the May 2020 webinar on Introduction to Video. Now, video is a huge subject, fraught with technical difficulties, as you can tell. So part of the problem for me was coming up with what area of video I could cover in the first introductory webinar. And what I've decided to go for is the bit that I think most people are probably interested in right now, which is streaming live. So either streaming live onto Facebook or YouTube, because obviously we're all in lockdown due to the COVID-19, and it's a great way to connect with people. It's a great way to build an audience, and also teaching. Some people are teaching online and wanting to know how they can do that better. So, yeah, great. Everyone can see me. That's good. So I'm going to take you through a couple of different ways, 3 different ways at least, that you can do live streaming from the most simple and ways that you can make the most simple work better and give you better quality through to slightly more complicated at the end, at the third version, where you've got multi-camera, possible multi-camera setups that you're managing. But none of them are technically beyond anybody, and none of them are the actual setup that I use here, which I'm beginning to think is a bit overcomplicated. But when I'm normally streaming, when I do a live stream, when I'm painting, I've got 3 cameras running, 2 separate mics, and it's a lot to manage at once. I will explain that setup either today or at some future date, how that works, but that requires a big investment. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will be doing some screen shares today. I'm going to be talking about some equipment. So you might want to take notes, but obviously for all of the equipment that I'm going to mention, I will send out an email with links to all of the stuff. So you can find out what it is, how it works, and get an idea of what might work well for you. Okay, so getting started, some of you have already done this anyway. The most basic way that you can get started with this stuff is with an iPhone, any kind of phone actually, or a tablet. And there are apps that you can get that allow you to stream obviously straight into Zoom, straight into Facebook, or straight into YouTube. And those are the three channels really that you'll most likely be thinking about using. Now I know Zoom has become very popular very quickly, and it is useful if you want to chat to people. Obviously we have our group chats on Zoom as well, but if you want to teach, if you want to deliver some streamed stuff and you want to be demonstrating, you can get better quality by hooking up a DSLR into Zoom, but I would think seriously about using Facebook or YouTube instead of Zoom for that. Like I do here. You can either use the chat that comes with them. YouTube has its own chat in the video, which I don't use. I have the one on the web page, which you're all used to now, which is a separate thing. But you can have chats within YouTube as well, comments within YouTube as well, and the same in Facebook. So in a way, it's kind of like Zoom, except that other people can't talk to you. That's the only real difference between them. But the reason I would say it's possibly better looking at Facebook and YouTube, firstly, is for Facebook, people usually have a Facebook account, and the chat works very well, and everything is recorded there, so you can send people a link to a video later. YouTube does all of that as well, and it's generally, I find, is more stable than Facebook. The video on YouTube seems to be better quality and more reliable than it is, generally speaking, I would say, on Facebook. Hello Barbara, nice to see you. Glad you could come. So firstly, if you're just going to be working with a phone or a tablet and that's all that you've got, it's perfectly doable. Obviously the camera's not going to be all that great, but you still can do it. But the main problem you're going to have with it, I think, is the audio. Now, I know generally people just think about, when they're thinking about doing video, it's just about the video, just about the visuals, but the audio is just as important, if not more so. And you want really good quality, clear audio. So what I would recommend is getting an external mic for one of these. You have to have it. You can't just hold it up. I wouldn't prop it up on a book or something like that. It's much better if you can get one of those little, I'll show you. This is almost the same thing, but not quite. You can get these little tripods like this. This is actually made for a DSLR, this one, but you could mount a phone case carrier on this, and some of them have on the top of them a little screw hole so that you can fit an external mic. Now let me show you what I would recommend in terms of external mic if you were going to use one. It's one of these. Now this is called a Rode Micro. It will set you back. Can you see that okay? Rode Micro. I'll pop it in the chat. Rode Video Micro, I think, is the full name for it. Rode Video Micro. And you can get little kind of tripods that you could with a holder for the phone, and then you can stick this on top of the phone. Now if you have an old phone, if you're a phone Luddite like me, this lead will go straight into the phone. If you have a newer one or a newer tablet, you have to get an extension lead. I think it's called an SLV, which you plug this into and then it goes into the phone, because obviously this is the iPhones at least. The new iPhones don't have the kind of extension leads that they don't have a port that will take this. This is made for going into DSLRs. But the difference between using this and something else is, one, sound quality, and two, you can have it right on your phone, or you can position it with an extension lead. You can position it anywhere else. So if you're demonstrating something and you've got a camera or a phone or a tablet on your easel, if your mic is here, it's not really going to work. You want your mic over here. And this is a good, fairly cheap way if you're just using a phone or a tablet to get some really good quality audio in there. The other way of doing it, which is also a really good idea, is what they call a lavalier mic. Now, I generally, when I'm streaming, I generally have a lavalier mic and another mic as well. Now, this is a really basic one, which you can pick up for about 20, 30 quid or something like that. And again, that will plug straight into an old style phone, or you will need the same kind of adapter, an SL7, and then you clip this onto yourself, and then that gives you a bit more freedom of movement, okay? And you tend to get better sound quality, and wherever you go it will stay with you. So these you can pick up, very simple ones like this. The sound quality is not great, but you can pick those up for very, very cheap. Now, the one I use is a bit more complicated than that. And it's a radio mic. And the reason I have a radio mic is, you've probably seen me when I'm streaming, I tend to walk around a little bit. So I'll be on the camera for a while, and then I might be over to the easel, and sometimes I'll pop over to the setup, and I want the sound to travel with me. So a radio lavalier mic is invaluable for that. This one is it's a Shure BLX4. I forget how much it was, a couple of £100. I think it's not that cheap, but by itself it doesn't work. You need to take the output from this. Now, this is an XLR cable output. It does give you like a normal jack output as well. You need to take that into something else, right? So this is you're moving up a level in audio quality now. And the way I do that, and this works very well, there are other bits of kit that will do it, is I use this, which is what I'm talking to you now on, which is a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, I think. And that's basically, you can take an analog sound in, and then it goes out into the USB port and it converts it to USB. Incredibly handy, and it means you can put almost any mic in there. Or do you need to link them to the new iPhones? Yeah, it's an extension lead. If you look it up online, how to link a mic to a new iPhone or a new iPad, I think it's an SLV7, I think, or an SV7. I'll find the adapter and send it out. I have an old phone and don't even have a tablet, so I've never needed to get one of those. So those are some choices for mics. If you have one of these, this external audio converter, then you can also have something like what I've got here, which is a very good quality audio mic, which can also plug into there and then go straight into the computer, okay? And then whether you're on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, you can select that as your audio input and you'll get way, way better quality. The red box, this is a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. That's it, Anna, you know it. You got that so right. You must either have one of these or have come across them before. They're absolutely fantastic. Again, that's about a couple of £100 just for the little box. Okay, so that is going to cost you a little bit of money to get. So that's your most basic thing. Okay, if you're just going to use what you've got, I would strongly recommend upgrading your sound quality. I'd also recommend getting a tripod with a phone or a tablet carrier holder. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Guarantee you're going to knock your phone over. But that's a great way to get started, just with the basic stuff. And perhaps some kind of a lavalier mic would also be a good idea. So the next level up from that, if you want to up your quality, and this is the same whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, is the bit that I know some of you are already starting to look at now, which is going in with a DSLR. I actually use a mirrorless camera, which is pretty much the same thing, which you connect to your computer, and your computer then sees it as a webcam. Okay, so you do need a capture card for that. And what I've done is, because I can't show you all of the setup of that right now because I'm live and streaming, I've made a quick video. So I'm going to play that now. This should come out over the stream. Fingers crossed if this works. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat as it comes along. Okay, I'm going to try switching to the video now and we'll see if it works. Cross your fingers for me. Here I am in my YouTube channel. If you have a Google account, you should have one of these yourself. So if you want to make a new live stream, you just go up here to create a video or post, and then select Go Live. This is all changed just recently. And then it will open up. You want to be on, you can be either on webcam or stream. If you're doing the way that I'm talking about now, I would go onto webcam because we've got the DSLR coming in via the cam link. You have to put a title in. This is a really good thing that you can play with, who can see it. So if you want to test out some streams in YouTube, you can just put that to private, which means no one else will see it but you, which is handy. Now if you want to set up an event, I'm not going to show you how to do that right now, but that's how you do it. You schedule it for later and then just come in as normal. You have to select one of these two now, and it's worth going into more options here, because you can see here I can choose where the video is coming from. FaceTime HD camera, and you see the image behind changed there, or the cam link. So this is how the cam link shows up when you've got it going, but it's chosen the built-in microphone, which I don't want. I want to use the cam link. Now the reason this is showing there, the blue snowball, is because that's the USB mic, which I'm currently recording the audio on while I'm doing this recording. So I'll choose the cam link, and then go next. It gives you a little countdown to do a thumbnail. Smile at the camera. It takes longer than it says it's going to take. I don't know why it does that. So then it'll make you a little thumbnail, okay? And then you just click Go Live. So you can see I'm now on my Panasonic GH5 now. It's not actually a DSLR, but pretty much the same. It's a mirrorless camera through the cam link, and I've also got the Rode Micro on there as well, which is recording the audio for this stream, which I'm recording now. Okay, and then when you're ready, and that's it, you're live basically. When you're ready to end it, you could just go end stream here. And you're done. If you want to, you can click in Studio, because once you've done a stream, it will stay on your YouTube channel as a video for people to watch. And there's various options in changing things around if you want to. Really, really handy. Okay, hopefully that worked. It looked very much to me like it did. And like I'm back now. So that is basically, that is your most simple upgrade from like a basic just using the phone to using your a DSLR instead. Now this is a DSLR, this is a Canon DSLR, and you can use that little mic with one of these as well, and this is actually what it's made for. So you would just slot it on here on the top, tighten it up, and they always have an audio input, sometimes hidden away a little bit. It's here on this one. So you would just plug this straight into the DSLR, stick that, and then this will now record into that mic, and they're surprisingly good, and they can record pretty good quality from across the room. So you could pretty comfortably have that like at your side, shooting whatever it is that you're working on, if you've got something on the easel, and that's going to work really well. And then you take an HDMI output, which is here, and you take that out into either the Elgato Cam Link, I'm going to put that in to the chat again, Elgato Cam Link. They apparently are very difficult to get hold of at the moment. I would show you mine, which is down here. I'm actually using it at the moment. So I'm on my Panasonic, GH5 now, streaming live through the Cam Link. But I'm going into OBS, which I'll show you how to do that. Another option for that is to use one of these, an Ultra Studio Mini from Blackmagic. If you're on a Mac and you've got a Thunderbolt port, and this is what Renee has just got hold of. This is what I usually stream live with, except for webinars. When I'm doing something like this, usually I just use the Camlink now because that's a bit more information than I need. It's a bit more tech than I need. In terms of mics, the mic that I was talking about there, the Snowball mic, is this. And this is a USB mic, so it means you don't need an extra box, so it's very good from that point of view. It's really good quality, and they're not that expensive. I think they're about 80 quid or something like that. I'm not sure what that would end up in dollars, but probably somewhere between $50 and $100. Surprisingly good quality for a USB mic, and you can plug that straight in, and it's got a pretty long lead as well. So that's a pretty good way to stream, to improve the quality of your audio without... going to fall over, without spending a fortune. Okay, so that's like the next leg up. You've still really just got one camera, okay, but you've got better quality audio and you've got better quality video now. It's gonna, already you're at a point where if you stream live, say onto Facebook or YouTube, what you do is going to be much better quality than most other people use. You know, you're already at that point at a good place. In terms of cameras, it depends very much what your budget is. You want to get something different if you're looking for a mirrorless or a DSLR, I would say. Now, I use, at the moment I'm talking to you on a Panasonic GH5. I'll put that in the chat. I'm not sure how much they are in America. Over here, just the body is about 1,000 quid. And then the lens I've got in mine is, which lens have I got in there? The zoom lens, and that was about another £1,000 as well. But you can get what are called prime lenses, which have no zoom, but they're very good quality and they're very cheap. So if you get a prime lens for your camera, it probably cost you about $100, and the image quality will be great. They're especially good for having on easels and stuff like that. The only reason I use a zoom is it means I can have the camera well back behind me when I'm streaming. So I actually have a telephoto lens on mine, which means I can have the camera out of the way because as I was saying before, I move around quite a lot when I'm streaming. But a prime lens, they're very small like this. They're called prime because they don't zoom, and they're really, really useful. A portrait prime lens gets you going for very little money. Other possibilities in terms of cameras, the GH4 is the previous version of this Panasonic camera. A lot of YouTubers and professional vloggers still use those, and they're brilliant. They're really good cameras. This camera I have here is, in America I think they call it the Rebel T6i. In the UK it's a Canon EOS 760D. Do not use this for streaming. The reason is, any camera that you're going to stream on, you need two things. You need a full HDMI output. Now what that means is, what comes out of the HDMI cable is everything that the lens sees, and that doesn't happen with all cameras. It doesn't happen with this one. It crops the image before it sends it down the HDMI cable. So you need full HDMI. That's what they call it, so you can look for that. The other thing you need is clean HDMI. So, you know, if you look on the back of a camera on the screen, quite often there'll be some menus and stuff. If it's not clean, that will come out on your stream. I have streamed with this. The quality wasn't great, and every now and again a little menu thing would come up on the video, you know. It works, you know, and I used it for a little while, but don't buy one of those specifically for streaming. There is also, there are various camcorders you can use as well. There's the VX770, I think it's called. Let me have a quick check. Oh, not quite. What's it called? VX. Oh, maybe it is. It's a Panasonic anyway. Yeah, full HD camcorder, the 8C V770. It's just a V770. And they are very good, except that I don't like using camcorders as much because I don't think you get the same kind of flexibility as you do with a DSLR that's also made for video. But they're not all that expensive. You can get them for about 300 quid, probably about $300, and they still will give you good quality. So that's, if you want to start with a camera without going full DSLR and spending a lot of money, obviously you don't need a lens for them as well. The zoom will be a digital zoom, so it won't be as good quality as a physical zoom. But that can be a good place to start. Let me just pop that in. HCV770. But the main thing is, to be honest, I would recommend going with the DSLR. I would strongly recommend the GH5 if you've the budget for it. If you already have a DSLR that you want to use, look up the model on Google and check that it's got full HDMI and it's got clean HDMI. It's not the end of the world if it hasn't, but you're going to want to upgrade at some point pretty soon. You will probably find. Okay, so the bit that everybody's really interested in doing, I think, with this stuff is multi-camera setups, right? Now that is a little bit complicated, but usually you would need to buy more kit, but there is a way. It's a bit of a hack, but there is a way you can do it in Zoom. If you want to have 2 camera setups, the quality isn't going to be brilliant on both cameras, but it is doable. And I've got a little video here, which I'm going to show you. The thing is, there's so many different ways of putting this gear together once you've got it. If you get a little bit creative with it, you can find ways to make a multi-camera setup. So you can have you talking and one camera on the easel, or one camera on the easel and one camera on the pallet, however you want to manage it, through various different ways. But this is one way that I've figured out doing it with Zoom. If you want one good quality one good quality picture, and another one perhaps just to talk on, this will allow you to do that, and you can switch between them. You just can't have them both at once. Here we go. Okay, so this is going to seem a little bit mind-bending perhaps at first, and if you try this, you'll find that it is slightly complicated, and extra complicated for me because I'm also filming it at the same time and doing a screen recording. So I'm going to show you a way. If you've got a DSLR or a mirrorless camera and a Camlink or some other video capture card to get video from a camera into a laptop, which I've got here, my MacBook Air, I'm going to show you a bit of a hack this, but it's a way that you can do if you want to teach online using Zoom. It's a way that you can do multiple camera setups. Okay, so just bear with me and hopefully this will work all right. So the first thing you need to do is get your personal meeting ID. So I'm going to check mine in here and go into Zoom on my phone. So you need a phone as well. This is going to be your other camera, or a tablet will do for this as well. Incidentally, you should have this, as I was saying earlier on, this should have an external mic and it should be mounted on a tripod for this to work well. Okay, so I put in the meeting ID. And join the meeting. Apologies for noise from the kids. We're still on lockdown, obviously. The kids are still at home. And then start the meeting. Yeah. I can start the video. Okay. Start video. So now this is this camera over here. I'm looking at. And for the mic, I will use. For the meeting, it doesn't really matter because I'm not recording the sound for it, but I could have either the built-in mic or I could have an external one if I wanted to. I would probably be using this Camlink 4K because I would probably have the Rode Micro on that camera. Okay, so that's going like that, and then here I then join with video. You don't want the sound on this one though. So I get a little alert up here to admit someone from the meeting room. And now suddenly I've got two views here. So this camera can be mounted on a tripod, easel. So you could have this like this. And then if you want to switch between, obviously, and I've got this camera back here, which could be either on a palette or it could be on me for talking. And you want to switch between them, you just pin a different video. So now I've got this video up, this camera up, which I can then film on here and get some kind of weird recursive loop going on probably. Put this one back on the easel again, and then switch back to this one. So without a huge amount, you can actually get a multi-camera setup working without using any kind of encoding software on the PC. Just with a phone or a tablet and a DSLR and a cam link. Incidentally, I could actually get, sorry if this is all over the place, but I could actually get another view in here all the time by changing to the FaceTime camera on the Mac. Pin this video and I've got yet another view. And I have actually used my Mac camera once upside down on a palette as a palette camera. So, I mean, this really is a hack, okay? But it is also a way that you can get two, possibly three, although none all at the same time, different views into a Zoom meeting. Wow. But it is also a way. Okay, hopefully that worked. Please let me know in the chat. It looked like it might have been a little bit glitchy to me and a little bit choppy, but let me know in the chat, please, if that played all right. This is the first time I've tried to play pre-recorded video as part of a live stream. Technically speaking, it should work, but obviously you never really know with these things. So, and also, let me know if that made sense to you. Basically, all I had was the simple setup with a DSLR with a microphone on it, coming in as the main person who was running the meeting on Zoom, and then joined on a phone as well at the same time. It worked, but it was choppy. Okay. What I will do then is bit glitchy. Okay, I'll look into why that is. But what I will do is I'll also make these videos available separately to the stream, to the replay. What I'll probably do is post them in the Facebook group because they're already recorded, so you'll be able to watch those. I do have one more, which I'm perhaps a little bit. I wonder if that. Here I am in my huge. Okay, so this is going to seem one of those in maybe a problem. Marilyn says, when you said Camlink, what did you mean, please? Let me get you a link for that. Elgato Camlink is a little bit of kit which you take an HDMI output from your camera and then you plug it into a USB port on your computer or your laptop. It's costs about 100 quid, and I'm using one at the moment. So I've got a camera over here, which is my Panasonic GH5. The HDMI lead is going out into a Camlink, and then it's coming into a USB. There we go. Micro, yeah, right. Elgato Camlink converts HDMI to USB. Yeah, so you can hook your DSLR as a webcam. Yeah, that's basically what it does. And there are other. It's not the only thing out there. In fact, there's actually a bewildering array of kit that will do it. I started looking into this over the last couple of weeks. And gamers also buy capture cards, and it's basically the same thing. It takes an HDMI input and converts it into a USB output. There's loads of them on the market, what I'll do, I'll send around some links to some other possibilities as well. They all start at about 100 quid. The Elgato Camlink is well known. A lot of people use it. The Blackmagic video recorder, which I showed you a minute ago, which you can use, the mini recorder, which you can use if you're on a Mac or on a PC with Thunderbolt port, but not many of them do. That has been around for a long time and is well known, and also costs about 100 quid. But you can kind of go up from there to more expensive kit. It's a bit of kit basically that takes the output from the camera and allows you to stick it straight into your computer, and then recognizes it as a webcam. Hopefully that's fairly clear. So the last thing that I want to show you for the webinar today is if you wanted to do an actual multi-camera setup. And if you're going to do that, then you have to have a bit of software in between. So you've got your cameras and your mics and everything over here, your computer over here, and you're going to go from your computer, okay, out into YouTube, Facebook, or Zoom, whichever one you want to go out to. Actually, this doesn't work for Zoom. It would have to be YouTube or Facebook. But you need to get your, so you've got two cameras and a mic over here, and you've got them coming into the computer. You need to collate them into something, and what you use is some encoding software, and for that there are paid versions, but I use OBS. This is when it starts to get a little bit more complicated, and you really do have to get into some tech and some settings. I'm using OBS at the moment. Sometimes it falls over because it's free, but it's very, very flexible and it's very, very good. You can do almost anything with it, including play videos. I think probably the problem with those videos playing then was that I was basically giving my laptop a little bit too much to do at once. So it's kind of processing me talking and processing the camera, and it's trying to deal with the video at the same time. And I'm really I'm at the point now where I'm pushing the limits of what this laptop can do, and I'm going to have to seriously think about buying a more powerful machine. Basically comes down to the power of the processor. Okay, so I'm going to try one more video for you. Hopefully this will work all right. It's the most complicated one. There are some settings involved. We'll give it a go. Just let me know in the chat if it doesn't work, and what I will do is I'll post it in the Facebook group and we can talk about it there. And then I can always splice it into this as a recording so that it will be on the main site later if I need to. So this, say you had a Mac with two Thunderbolt ports and you had two DSLRs, you would need two of these. So each one of these would need a separate converter. So you've got to go from the camera into the converter into the computer. So if you want two cameras and you're not using a terrible hack like the thing that I just showed you on Zoom, which does work, you know, it's all right. This way you would be able to show both cameras at the same time. Each camera would need one of these, or it would need an Elgato Camlink, or it would need another kind of converter that takes an HDMI from the camera and converts it to USB or Thunderbolt to get it into the computer. So this is when the quality of the computer matters. It's the power of the processor. If your processor isn't strong enough, you'll get very, very choppy video, which I suspect is why that video was chopping a little bit there. When I tried to do it on this machine, I tried to have two cameras on different capture cards coming in at the same time. It just said, no, I can't do it. This is a 2013 MacBook Air. It's not powerful enough. If you've got a fairly recent MacBook Pro or a good PC with a powerful processor, multi-threaded, multi-core processor, then you will probably be okay. But you would need to test it first and see if it would work. Okay, so let's see if hopefully this last video will play. Okay, I'm going to switch over to it now. I've just come back because I forgot that when I was editing this video earlier on, I forgot to chop off the first bit. So there's about 2 minutes at the start when I'm just trying to make sure everything's working. So if it looks like I'm standing there and not doing anything, unfortunately, I can't hurry it along. It plays as it is. So just bear in mind there's a couple of minutes where not much happens, and then I'll go into describing what I'm doing. But Luke, I'm recording now, okay? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set up the basic streaming setup for going into YouTube via OBS. So if you had a way to do that with two cameras, you would basically do the same thing, but you would be adding another camera. Usually you will do it with the audio coming from the camera as well, with a microphone on top of the camera. But I'm going to show you a way to do it with using a separate audio source as well. Okay, so I'm recording my screen at the same time as I'm talking to you. So let me firstly take you through a couple of things to do with the audio. Now there are a couple of choices for this. Now this is these two bits of equipment together are what I use for my Lavalier mic. So this is pretty good quality. This is a Shure. What's the number again? The model is a BLX4, and this is the bit that you attach to yourself. So this goes on to your belt or wherever, and then you attach the mic to yourself here, and it transmits to this. And this comes out into what's called an XLR cable output. So this is the output of the sound from the mic comes through here. But you need a way to get it into the laptop. Now this is a Scarlett 2. Okay, sorry about that. I thought it would be worth a try to be able to run these little video segments at the same time. I think the problem is, yeah, too choppy. The problem is I'm giving my processor too much to do, so it's having to process the video and it's having to stream at the same time. I think it basically, this machine isn't powerful enough to do it. So I've been thinking for a little while about upgrading. But this is something that you might come across when you start to push the boundaries a little bit of what you can do with the computer, as I'm doing now. It's the processor that matters. So if you're wondering about whether your computer is powerful enough to stream more than one camera at once, check the processor. And if it's an oldish processor, like this is an i5, it won't manage it. Test it and see if it will work. So I'm sorry I couldn't get that video to play. That's kind of the most interesting way to do it. It's probably the bit that most of you want to know. So what I'll do is I'll post it actually as soon as the webinar is over. I'll post it on the Facebook group because I can just upload it there. I'll chop off that first couple of minutes when I wasn't doing anything. So I'll put that up later on this evening in about an hour or so, possibly a little bit less. That will be up on the Facebook group. Okay. So that is basically the third version that I can't show you right now, which includes all of the tech that I've got here, but it's not the full-on kind of system that I've got when I stream live here, when I'm doing one on Facebook, when I'm painting. For that, I have a separate switch, which is what I feed all of the cameras and the mics into. So that switch does all of the processing, and then it just has one output that comes from that into the computer, which means, and that's how come I can stream even with this computer, which isn't all that powerful, with all of the multiple cameras. But the switch costs about £1,000 by itself, you know. But when you're thinking about something like this, you know, or the Camlink capture card, they're going to cost you £100 at least each anyway. The better ones cost more than that, up to £200-300, and you would need two of them to run two cameras. Quite often I run three cameras at once. You would need a very, very powerful computer to do that, and three of these. So you're starting to get a little bit closer to what it would cost you to have a switch anyway. When I go into the more advanced video stuff, I will describe the full setup that I've got here and how it works. But for the moment, this third one is probably going to be as far as you would want to push it, where you would have one or two DSLRs and a mic, and then you can switch between them in OBS. unfortunately, that video didn't work. So I'll stick that up on the group, and then we'll take it from there. Do you think PC World would know, or Apple? The best thing is if you've got it depends if you've got a Mac or a PC. If you've got a Mac, you can just go into the system. You can just go into if you click on at the top left on the little Apple thing, and go into the About This Mac thing, and it will bring you up a little window, and it will tell you what the processor is. So this one is a 1.6 gigahertz dual core i5, and it's not up to it. You want an i7 at least in order to be really streaming in good quality with two separate cameras. The main thing I would think is to try it and see if it would work or not. Oh, right, $145, right. MacBook Pro. It depends. How old is your MacBook Pro, Marilyn? If it's a fairly recent one, it might well be powerful enough to do it. Especially if it's got an i7 processor, it will probably handle it all right. If it's an old one, like back to 2015 or something like that, then probably wouldn't handle two cameras at once. In which case you would need some other way to do it, an external switch or something like that. That'll do it. An i9, that'll do it easily. A 2.3 gigahertz 8-core Intel Core i9, that will handle two cameras and a separate mic very, very easily. It won't have any problem. That's a really powerful machine, and very good for streaming. So I'm probably going to go for, I'm going to upgrade to a quiet PC, because the other thing about streaming as well is that with this laptop, when it starts to work very hard, as it was just then, when it was trying to stream and play video at the same time, the fans come on and you can hear it on the mic, so I need to sort that little bit out too. So sorry about that last video not doing what I was hoping it was going to do, but I will stick it on the Threads group. I hope that was useful anyway and gave you some ideas for kit you can get, and also ways that you can put it together and configure it different ways for the specific needs that we have. You want to really, I think, to be trying to get to some kind of a multi-camera, at least two camera setup, even just being able to switch between them as quickly as you can. And that Zoom hack is quite a good way to do it. You can only have one of them as really good quality, but you can, with a fairly modern phone or a tablet, if it's on a tripod, that will give you pretty reasonable quality, and then you can switch between the views live as you're teaching. So that's probably the easiest way to get going with decent quality and multi-cameras pretty quickly. i5, yes, that's, Anna, to be honest with you, that's probably going to struggle to run two cameras at once. So you probably want to look at doing something like the little hack with Zoom, and not try to do multi-camera in Facebook or YouTube. What you would need if you wanted more than one camera is some kind of a switch that takes the inputs of both cameras and a mic, and then bring that into the computer. That's what I do here, And if I'm just streaming, most of the time it's fine. But you will probably have noticed, if you've seen any of the streams that I've done just lately, I had some problems. I upgraded to Catalina, the latest version of macOS on this machine, and suddenly I couldn't stream with the same settings anymore. It was choppy. It seems that the new operating system is a lot heavier on the processor than the old one was. That's my feeling. That's what it seems to be. So you, it really comes down to the settings. I had to reduce a lot of the quality settings on my live streams. So I'm really obviously trying to do this today with live video, with recorded video and me streaming. I would love to be able to do that. Obviously this laptop can't quite handle it. That was the first test. So I am going to have to upgrade. i5 will do the Zoom thing with an iPhone and a single camera. It will do that fine. But if you try to plug two cameras in over two capture cards, like the Camlink or the video recorder, your laptop will probably struggle. Mine did when I tried that. It couldn't handle it. Yeah, right, you have to teach on Zoom anyway. So that's probably the only way that you can really do it. I'm not aware of a way that you can... There is apparently a way that you can bring two cameras into OBS and then take the output from OBS into Zoom, but it's not meant to work that way. You can only do it on a Windows computer. So if you're on a Mac, that won't work. There's an extra bit of software that can link the two, but from what I've found out from reading about it, it's very flaky. So you probably wouldn't want to use that when you were streaming. So what I would advise doing then is you can always join, if you had another computer and another camera, you could join your Zoom meeting twice with the other computer as well, and then get much better quality and be able to switch between them. So it doesn't have to be a phone or a tablet, but then obviously you need two computers. So it depends what kit you've got, and what you can manage. Yeah, Macs are generally good, but mine is just was never too powerful to start with, and it's really getting a little past its best now. Video. The thing about video, once you get into video, is you quickly realize that it's very demanding on your computer. So what I did, I was doing a lot of recorded video for courses, and this computer couldn't do it. It would just take too long to encode the video once I'd recorded it and edited it. I'm going to go into recorded video another time in another webinar. So I bought a laptop that was much more powerful. The problem with that laptop is the fans are really, really noisy. So it's too noisy to use for streaming. So now I'm thinking I need to buy another computer that's also very quiet and very powerful. If you're streaming live, what you want is a very quiet, very powerful PC or a laptop, a Mac, and then you will be all right. You can do a lot of stuff. But we're kind of at the moment where it's an interesting time to be getting into video, because everyone is scrabbling to figure it out. It's definitely the future. So although sometimes it's a bit sticky and you get in situations like I did today where I'm trying to push my computer too hard and it couldn't quite cope, when you push these barriers, this is when you start to get better, and you start to put out video that is a lot better quality than most people manage, so it's worth getting involved and it's worth trying these things out. Kay says, is your laptop a Mac? Mine is, yes. It's a MacBook Air. So it's not the most powerful anyway, and it's a 2013, so it's a fairly old one too. Probably only good for web browsing now, and it struggles a little bit with video. Okay, so sorry about that last video. I'll stick that this evening up on the Facebook group, so at least you'll be able to see it without it glitching. And if you have any more questions about this stuff, stick them in the Facebook group. We're going to be talking about video for a little while because there's so much to cover. My goal really for today was to show you how you could put together better quality streaming setups with more than one camera or more than one picture source. And that will probably get you to a higher level than you're at now, and a better result than most people can stream live with at the moment. But play with it, and see what you can do. Okay. So I'll have that video up on the Facebook group very soon. Thanks very much for coming. I will send out an email with links to all the bits of kit as well, probably tomorrow. So you'll be able to have a look at all of those. The learning curve is steep with this stuff. You have to buy a lot of equipment that you may not entirely understand. I did and still do, but eventually you will get there. Okay. Thanks very much for coming, and I'll see you again next week when we'll be doing, I won't be trying to push the boundaries of video quite so far, and we'll be doing a paint along workshop. See you later.